today. All right, so we should be good. So greetings, everybody. My name is Ben, aka Downsizeit, and I am joined today by two of my three teammates for Ohnaka Celebrity Deathmatch, and we are Team Tubers. Whether you want to call that the weird worms at the bottom of the ocean, or potatoes. That was pointed out to me, so we can maybe claim Admiral Tater as our sponsor. But I have today Derek Schultz, aka Karnak, and we have Paul, who is also the Doctor from Dr. Pwnage Gaming, joining me today. And we are the Tuber team. Unfortunately, Chivalry could not join us last minute, but we will be representing the YouTubers as we take on the casters for this really unique and crazy virtual tournament that's being put on by Alan Stelly, aka Mercier. And we wanted to go over our lists that we've put together, where a lot of rules are being broken, which is going to make things a lot of fun. So, for those that might not know who the other people joining me are today, we can just go around the room. Derek, I find it hard to believe anybody would not know who you are, but why don't you just give me just a brief introduction for the folks that might not know you or your channel and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Karnak, aka Derek Schultz. I do Serenity Wargaming and explanations. I do a lot of content on Star Wars Armada, largely, rules explanations or videos that cover upgrade cards. I also work as a subcontractor for Atomic Mass Games, managing the rules for them. And it's been a little popular lately since the Summa of All Things kit finally has come out. Lots of people, I've been hearing great feedback from that. I had a hand in the development, of course, along with a few others. And I'm just super excited to be doing something fun for once because I've been so busy. So it's like when I was asked to do this, I was like, wait, the rules are what? I can do what? They're like, yeah, I'm totally all for doing crazy stuff. So I'm excited to join you guys in beating down those dirty casters.
That's right. And, I'm sure it's nice to actually be able to play as opposed to having to work all the time when it comes to Armada.
Yeah, I definitely put in a lot of legwork in the background. It's a lot, and so I'm definitely grateful of the opportunity to actually throw some virtual dice.
Now, Paul, I don't think I've ever had you on my channel before, so I think I want to apologize for that. So people might not know who you are to watch my channel. We need to remedy that in the future. But why don't you this is also the Doctor from Dr. Pwnage Gaming, and just tell us a little about yourself and your YouTube channel and what you do on your channel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Doctor, and you probably see me in the Discord. I'm pretty active there. But I also like to stream, kind of the big tournaments that are going on that might not have, kind of streaming support, and make sure we capture that, for the larger base. Typically the online stuff, but I'm hoping to get into, more of the in-person stuff going forward. As we've had or almost a full world cycle here, coming back from COVID and the Atomic Mass Gaming takeover there, or transition. So yeah, hopefully looking to get more content there from a competitive standpoint, and I'm really excited to bring you content for this tournament. This is a really fun thing that the guys at the Tabletop Simulator Discord have set up here. I think the rules are pretty well balanced, actually, even though we are getting to break a lot of them. So
yeah, I would agree, and I'll actually go over the specific rules again for folks that might not have caught my preview video. And I thought it was really neat that we're allowed to break a lot of rules, but I think some of the guardrails they put in place were smart so that it doesn't get completely out of hand. But you can still see some crazy lists that are going to be coming through. Specifically you, Derek, when I looked at yours is nuts. I don't even know how you're going to keep track of everything. You're like all over the place. Assuming you're keeping what you initially shared. Mine's pretty tame compared to maybe I should have gone more nuts, but I went pretty tame on mine.
I'll be honest, I kind of half ripped off this list from the gentleman at Golden State Games who was flying a double Pelta and a bunch of hammerheads. That was like, oh, that looks like a lot of fun. I'm sure I will do awfully at it, but it looks great, so I want to do it. But essentially, yeah, it's all small ships except for the Munificent. And I'm running Freedom Bot or TF-1726 because with all of the raid with that and then being able to put B2 rocket troopers on hammerhead torpedo corvettes, it's like, yeah, this seems pretty lit for just throwing out tons of raid tokens and then just sort of throwing in all the black dice, so many black dice, because hammerheads in general usually only want to make one attack, but if you do get the double arc, well, you just save that sweet side attack, rack up those raid tokens from the front attack. It's a lot of dice.
Yeah.
The only downside is there's no rerolls in this list, but it's a lot of survivability. So my plan is just get in range and just throw all the black dice, because if I can't take somebody out with black dice, dice correction I feel like is not necessarily going to be huge assistance for this list. I mean, I could take out Shields the Maximum and throw in Intensify Firepower on the pelt that I have in there, but again, my thoughts is that survivability is going to be the main issue against squadrons, because a lot of people are bringing squadrons, and again, at Golden State Games, this list was just able to massively outtake squadron damage just with the defensive properties here. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking to see what this can be accomplished. Of course, with the Munificent, I borrowed Tua to throw thermal shields on that thing.
I did the same. Yep.
Yeah, it's just like I honestly, it's like it's a separatist list, and it's largely separatist stuff except for the borrowed hammerheads. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking to see what I can accomplish with this.
Well, since we're on the topic of your list, why don't we go into specifics of your list? You're ready to start talking through it from top to bottom if you want.
Oh, yeah. So it is the objectives we're forced to use is Advanced Gunnery Opening Salvo and Blockade Run. So I'm bringing a Magnificent Comms Frigate with Freedom Bot on there, 2 Thermal Shields. I'm throwing Battle Droid Reserves on there because that is just, it's such a good card, I feel like, on the Magnificence. Flag Bridge with Jedi Hostage. So it's like, if you want to come tap out my Jedi Hostage and come into all the welcoming arms of my hammerheads. The
black dice range, yeah. Feel free, do it.
Do it. And a little bit more survivability with the point defense ion cannons. It's also got Sal Nananor for the ability to have evade, which is just great against onagers, because if they want to lock down all 3 defense tokens to stop me from using evade at extreme range, then they're sacrificing damage output for that. Pelta Assault Ship has got Tykes and Wat Tambor with projection experts and Phoenix Home and Shields to Maximum. This thing is just going to be like, oh, you want to shoot my comms frigate? Okay, I'll just keep pumping all these shields into the comms frigate. Or if you're wanting to go after my hammerheads. And then CSI Gazanti with Hondo, point defense ion cannons. It's mainly there just, again, once raid starts getting stacked up on stuff, throwing black dice out. And then 3 hammerhead torpedo corvettes, each with B2 rocket troopers and task force Antilles for that sweet damage mitigation spread around. And yeah, pretty much it's just put my ships out in charge of the light brigade, see if I can take out the enemy before I get destroyed.
Now, if I get my count right, that's going to be 6 ships then, so that's almost you have an MSU fleet with a medium ship though, because you have a Munificent in there as well.
Yep, the Muni is definitely going to be kind of like the center core ship of the fleet. It's going to want to be anchoring for my deployments. So it's one of these things that a lot of people are like, oh, I have to put down my flagship last, and I can't put it down first. And in this situation, it's like, I'm going to plop my flagship down first, and then based on where you're throwing your stuff down, I can then build my fleet around my flagship, rather than, because a mistake some people make is they'll put down all their other small ships they don't care about first, and then put their flagship down last, but then their flagship can't necessarily come assist the rest of the fleet. So
right, you might be out of room, maybe on your deployment zone, depending.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's pros and cons to all things. It again just depends on what you're going up against. So yeah, in a nutshell, it's just lots of black dice, and I'm excited for it.
Yep. So you're going Separatist core, and then you've mixed in, I think, everything except Empire. No, I think, or did you just do
No, you got
Separatists and
two in there.
Rebels? Oh, you got 2 in there. That's right. You got Tua. That's right.
Just Tua. Yep.
Okay. So you are doing all 4 factions with your fleet, even if it's just a sprinkler.
No Republic.
Yeah.
It's the Rebel Pelta.
Oh, it's the Rebel Pelta. Gotcha. So
Yep.
not the Republic Pelta. Very nice. Gotcha. All right. Well, I hate to do this. Let's go and jump to Doctor. You can do your list, and I'm gonna pull up a screenshot here of a graphic that he put together, putting me and Derek to shame. Paul actually, apparently put work in prior to this.
It's a
video.
great graphic.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, I wish I would. I had all morning. I was just relaxing this morning after my coming back from being out of town, and I could have done this instead of playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I could have done this. So what? So Paul, why don't you take us through your fleet and your thoughts behind it?
Well, I had, with this format, being able to pull in anything from any faction, it's like what seems fun. I had the hardest time narrowing down my list. Ultimately, though, I felt I wanted to run Mothma with the Patriot Fist because I just felt that was really mean.
It's so mean.
Oh, it's awful.
And
it's so bad.
Combined with Iden Versio on Foresight with Mothma, which would let me cancel 2 dice at any range, which I just think is just hilarious. So I have a MC-30 torpedo frigate with Mon Mothma, Iden Versio, so that's plus 2 points there for that tax. Ordnance experts, external racks, H9 turbolasers, and Foresight. And then I have a Gladiator 1 with Minister Tua and electronic countermeasures attached to her. Ordnance experts, engine techs, external racks, and Demolisher. So that's out of faction with the 2 upgrades there for plus 9 on top of all those upgrades for the tax. And then I have a Recusant support destroyer. So that's the one with blue dice and Emperor Palpatine on that. Kaitkin and Sholin, XI7 turbolasers, and Patriot Fist. And then I have a CR-90A with Link Turbolaser Towers, Taintive 4, and Tykes to act as kind of a flotilla of sorts that I can also offer solid flak and fire support.
I love the combination of Mothma and Iden on an MC-30. I mean, that's going to be, I don't want to say it's unkillable, but that's going to be such a pain in the ass to kill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I like you snagged some rebel officers for your Recusant there. That the twins helping for the dice fixing for every single round. That's just like like Shumoy, who's that guy? We threw him out the airlock. We don't need that guy.
Yeah, and plus it frees up the officer slot to do a little more versatility there. Palpatine, it's such a large base makes it easy target. Palpatine turns that against it, So, because I think the base size is something that, the designers manage. Like, Recusant could be a medium, it could be a large. They were like, well, it's large to make it, weaker defensively. Because if it was medium, you'd be able to fit in like impossible places.
Oh yeah.
So, I think Palpatine makes a lot of sense for that because, they're going to want to shoot that, and I'm going to make them not want to shoot it. Yeah. So, and Patriot Fist is really in there because. It's just such a good upgrade. Along with Link Turbolaser Towers, it's one of the best upgrades in the game.
Yeah, it's such a Patriot's Fist is such a great glass cannon gunboat, but what you did by putting Palpatine and Mothma as your commander, you've taken away one of its biggest weaknesses, its survivability. When some people start putting hits on it, it just goes down. At least for me, when I start hitting. Recusants, they just go down so fast. But now, when you have the Mothma ability, and you have Palpatine on there, do I really want to shoot it? Do I want to give up a defense token? I love that combo.
Yeah, I'm really excited to play it. Like, I mean, Patriot Fist, I feel like was the most exploitable card in the, I guess, in the entire inventory that we have. It could put out maybe like with Admiral Montferrand. That was something I was considering. So, keep a speed 3 and have that constant obstruction. But I felt like it's a large base. It's too easy to ram. At least my navigational ability lose that ability. So I thought Palpatine was a good second choice there.
Well, I'll go ahead and go over my list, and it's pretty boring compared to both of you guys. You guys actually decided to think outside the box. I went rather simple because I didn't want to think about it too much. I, of course, went with Thrawn. I could have, I was thinking, can I do Sloane? But I was like, I'll just do Thrawn. But Sloane could have really been broken. But I decided to do with Venator 1 as my command ship and putting Thrawn on that. And then bringing over, and paying the tax, of course, bringing over Minister Tua. So I can get ECMs for my Venator 1. And assault concussion missiles, link turbulation towers, and ordnance experts. My entire fleet, by the way, is designed to get in close range. Then I have 3 Gladiator 1s.
Can I wait? I'm going to stop you just real quick. You said your commander is Thrawn.
Yes.
So it's an Empire list.
It's
I
an
just
Empire
want to be
list.
clear.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Empire is my base. So my Venator, I have to pay a 5-point tax for the ship.
Okay.
Yep. So it's going to be an Empire-focused list. And then I've got 3 Gladiator 1s. I've never run this many Gladiators because I only own 1. I figured, why not do Gladiator spam, see how ridiculous I can get. And they all have APTs and Ordnance Experts. And then for all 4 of those ships, I did 7th Fleet Star Destroyer. To, just to see if I can really do some damage mitigation with everybody doing the reducing damage by 1 by keeping everybody close. And again, this was just for just so I can throw in something other than Empire and Republic. I got some Lancer Pursuit Craft, 2 of them for my squadrons. They're rogue. And if somebody brings no squads, great. They can go bomb. If they bring squads, they can go lock things down because they're not heavy. But compared to your guys' list, this is pretty boring, but I think it could actually be pretty devastating because 3 Gladiators just by themselves is enough. And with Thrawn, I can be doing navs on the ships and confires on the Thrawn dials or vice versa, and really up the firepower with how much firepower I can put out with close range.
That Venator will really like the extra navigation help.
Yes, exactly. So I'm definitely planning probably navs on the ships, and Thrawn is just confiring whenever I get in close range. And yeah, it's after I saw everybody else list come in, I was like, yeah, maybe I should have gone a bit more creative, but I don't have to think too much on this one. This is going to be a little bit more simple.
So for the Venator, I think I missed it. What do you have on the Venator?
So the Venator, I have Minister Tua, so I can get ECMs to make it a little bit more survivable because Venator 1 does not get a defensive retrofit.
Right.
Then LTTs and assault concussion missiles and ordnance experts. Basically turning it into a bigger version of a Gladiator.
God, yeah, it's a big old bully.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my overall plan is to have the Gladiators go forward and then the Venator come in afterward for the killing blow. And the squadrons were just kind of afterthoughts, just to throw something in there from another faction. Just in case someone does bring squads, they can maybe slow them down for a turn. But if not, they're bombers and they're rogue, so I don't have to worry about commanding them. And they can supplement a little bit of my damage.
Do you know what I just realized? I'm looking at is it Shy Varley? How do you pronunciate his
Chivalry?
Chivalry.
Chivalry? Yep.
Yeah.
Chivalry, like I assume like chivalry, but like shiv.
Okay.
That's at least how I pronounce it. I'm not sure.
I just noticed that their list, they didn't bring any squadrons either. Like, we brought 4 lists, and of 4 lists, there's 2 squadrons total in your fleet, man.
That's actually, wow. Yeah. So Team Tubers is effectively a squadronless list, because, I mean, my 2 Lancer Pursuit Craft don't really count, so we're going no squads, and, so
hopefully that doesn't bite us in the butt.
Yeah, we'll see if that really comes back hard. Because I actually don't know who my opponent, who is a Juliet, I have no idea what he's bringing yet. But real quick, I'm just going to run through it, even though he's not here. Chivalry gave us his list, just so you guys can know what he's bringing. He is doing I'm going to assume it's going to be a Republic base list because Luminara is his commander. But Luminara is on an Imperial 2.
Spoiler alert, there are no Republic ships in this list.
Yeah, no Republic list. So lots of tax being paid. Luminaran on Dually on an Imperial 2, which I do like. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With Riva, local fire control, thermal shields, point defense ion cannons, and link turbo laser towers. And I just love having
That's
thermal
so
shields on Imperial
mean.
2 with Luminara.
That's so mean.
Have fun killing that. Another MC-30 torpedo frigate, and with Iden Versio, just like you did there, Paul. Iden on MC-30 is just so broken.
Yeah, we talked about it actually. Yeah, Chivalry and I were kind of chatting while we were building lists.
And I mean, this is the reason why you have faction-specific things, so you can't break the game like this. Because if everybody could do it, everybody would put Iden on an MC-30. Ordnance experts, external racks, H9s, and foresight. A second MC-30 with expert shield techs, ordnance experts, external racks, H9s, and advanced projectors to kind of get a pseudo foresight ability. And then a GR-75 with Hondo and Comsnet. And this just looks like an annoying tank fleet. And that Imperial 2 is going to be so annoying to try to take down. But
well, it's interesting, yeah, with all the Imperial 2, anything gets in front of it that's a small ship is just going to get practically deleted. Except if it's an MC-30 Foresight, Iden Mothma,
with Iden Versio on it. Yeah. Yeah.
But with those H9, the H9s on MC-30 is just so dangerous because it can just pop smalls, just no effort, and it's a small ship itself. So it's like it can just
it guarantees that accuracy to stop that scatter or stop the evade on the non-flotilla, so all your damage is going in. Or even stopping like a random redirect on a small ship, so the small ship has to take it on a small shielded section. So devastating.
And because it's small, like other small ships, you can't discard that evade to affect two dice. It's just one dice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, gonna be very effective, I think. And speaking of our effectiveness of our fleets, maybe we should, even though I don't know what my fleet I'm facing is yet, but maybe we should talk about who our opponents are, because we know what round 1 is going to look like. And Derek, I love that you got Kellorn round 1. I'm just glad that I didn't get Kellorn round 1. So
I messaged him. I'm like, we're gonna fight. He's like, no. I don't know what he brought. He brought a Saloon fleet to Golden State Games, so I would like to think he's kind of squadroned out. But I also know that overall he tends to bring squadrons, and I usually bring squadrons. I love bringing squadrons, so like this is branching a bit out of my comfort zone. So I like to think that maybe they're going to do the same as well.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking whenever I was putting this together, is trying to go outside of my comfort zone, because I feel like everybody knows I love squads. Even though I went to my comfort zone of Thrawn, I went almost all ships. And man, I don't know, if I hit like a squadron heavy list, it just comes into a race. Can you drop the ships fast enough before the squads can do their damage? And I have Juliet Whiskey, who I'm playing against. I don't know what our date is yet of what we're playing. We haven't been able to schedule that yet.
Same.
Yep, so we're still working on schedules. Paul, do you have a date yet of when you're going to be playing your opponent? Who are you playing?
I'm playing Geek 19.
Geek 19,
from
okay.
Cannot Get Your Ship Out blog. Something like I used when I was getting into Armada, like religiously, is that website there. So it's going to be interesting to see, I guess. Obviously, Geek's famous for his Leia. He's bringing Rebel MSU with a splash of Republic. From his list, but it's gonna be interesting to see how this matchup is. I'm a little nervous because he's got squads, I don't.
I hope that it's not a trend where it's basically the casters are the squads list, the tubers are the non-squads list, and then we basically see how it plays out.
We just gotta go on hard and fast, I guess.
Yeah, hard and fast. It's like you can't really play the slow game if you're facing a whole squad of bombers and you got nothing to stop them. You're like, well, I gotta run in there and kill those ships. Maybe, but and then Chivalry will be taking on Fox, who And this is one thing I found interesting, at least for me when I was seeing how the list played out, is that Paul, aka Kellorn, he won this year's Lone Star Open. And the year before that, Fox won the Lone Star Open. So these are some tournament winners that we're facing. And I'm not ashamed to say that I am not the greatest competitive player. So I might be bringing up the rear here.
Hey.
Doctor, we might be relying on you.
Don't put yourself down.
Whoa. You finished above me at Lone Star Open last year.
Oh, that's all right, that's true. But, you know.
I mean, don't worry, guys. No matter what scores are reported, I'll just use my judge powers. They're wrong. I'll get those corrected. I'll talk with the TO.
That's right.
That
Perfect. And,
some obscure ruling, if
yeah.
they're wrong, it needs to be corrected.
I mean, and after all, this is Hondo Ohnaka's deathmatch. I mean, cheating is implied, right? I mean, we have to have.
I feel like we should have spun a wheel for what objective we were playing.
Right? Yeah, completely random. And speaking of which, I'm actually curious if you have the choice. You know, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever have the choice because I'm coming in right at 400. But since we all have the same objectives, advanced gunnery, opening salvo, blockade run. Which, by the way, opening salvo for all these MSU lists we'll probably never see.
Brutal.
It would be brutal.
Yeah.
It would be amazing, but no one will probably ever pick it.
Nope.
But if you had the choice, if you're first player. I know you don't know exactly what your opponent's fleets are, but what would you be leaning towards? What objective would you pick? What do you think, Derek? What would you lean towards if you're first player?
If I'm first player, I would not pick advanced gunnery for myself. There's nothing that would benefit it in my fleet from taking that. Maybe I could throw it on my comms frigate, but then even then, it's pretty easy to double arc with it, and it's not worth throwing all those extra points on there. The only reason why I would take advanced gunnery is if they only have like 3 ships and they have just a ton of squadrons, then I would get benefit being able to shoot squadrons and shoot a ship in front of me. By and large, I see myself playing a lot of blockade run as first player probably, unless because red dice is just I could maybe get some benefit from opening salvo picking that as first player, maybe not. I probably will pick blockade run. I do have the bid 398, so I have a 2-point bid. So we'll see about that. But if I'm second player, I really hope that people just pick opening salvo for me every time. I want all the black dice. Please, I want all the black dice.
I don't know if anybody would. I mean, that would be like just. You know what? I just.
What's the worst that could happen?
So if you're second player, and they pick advanced gunnery, what ship are you naming?
Oh, the Mooney. Absolutely. It's like, come get it. You know, it's so defensive. Okay. It's got the Pelta backing it up. It can spam repair. I mean, it's going to be hard to take down. Have you ever, people usually will put Wat Tambor on the Magnificent combined with Battle Droid reserves. And yeah, it's just impossible. But by putting Watt and Tykes both on the Pelta, it can just throw shields forever, and it's not going to drain its own shields. Or if it's like example, my Gazanti cruiser or one of my hammerheads are not getting hit, let me borrow your shields from you real quick and throw them over real fast. That's just what's great about Watt is like I can just suck shields from something else and beef up its repair value to then just throw more shields with projection options into my Magnificent. It's dumb.
That's you can do that with the transport, the hard cell transports too.
You can,
yeah.
But by having the and I thought about bringing the hard cell transport, except it's that fleet command that I really wanted. But that shields the maximum, being able to restore all the shields on, like for example, the Task Force Antilles damage shuffling, or again if I'm drawing shields from something else, like I put it back with shields the maximum, so. Yeah, I just feel like it's a lot of mitigation.
And
no, when I first saw your list, sorry, go back.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, when I first saw your list, I was like, shields to maximum, really? It's such a bad card. And then I was like, wait, he's getting a lot of use out of these shields on where, like, even if it's way off on the other side, not on the other side, but like, distance 1 to 5 for Watt, and then 1 to 4 for Antilles, I think. I don't fly hammerheads. You can just keep plopping it back on, even if
that's right. So when I saw that list at Golden State Games, the guy who brought the double Pelta, because he had just a Pelta with shields of maximum on it, and then another pelter with intensify. No, he had not take evasive action. The other one, entrapment formation. He had speed jank on there, and it's like, oh, like why not intensify firepower over shields to maximum? He's like, you don't get it. You see all my hammerheads? I'm like, yeah, they got task force and tillies. That's great mitigate. Oh, right. It's like, oh, so when you're shuffling all that damage around, that's the weakness of task force and tillies, is the fact that you're weakening your entire fleet by shuffling damage. But if you can just throw all the shields back on with shields to maximum, you're not losing any of that cohesion. So like big brain plays from that player.
And just combine, I've always found when I'm fighting against munificents that are set up to be a tank like that, is you have to be able to kill them in one round, because if you don't, they're going back to full health. And the way you have it set up, they're really going back to full health if you don't kill it in one round. Even with one or two ships, like one or two activations, because you can then just, your next activation, start really beefing it back up again. It makes it almost not even worth attacking.
Yeah, Battle Droid Reserves just makes it a big old nope on a rope.
So what about you, Paul? What would your ideal mission to pick if you're first player, or like as Derek said, what would you wish people would pick for your fleet? What would be your best pick as second player if someone picked it against you?
I mean, opening salvo.
Yeah.
But I'd probably actually pick into opening salvo. I have a lot of dice cancellation, so just roll with it. Advanced gunnery, I'd probably pick my Mothma flagship there, just because I can cancel 2 dice, provided it has an evade available. So that would probably be the ship I'd put it on, and also because just being able to hit that side arc twice. I'm really bad about lining up those MC30 double arcs. I don't want to worry about it. So that's my advanced gunnery, and then it's built for blockade run. I can all ships are capable of getting into the end zone there.
Yeah, I honestly think blockade run is probably the weakest of your options, because MC30 shine with having the horizontal layout rather than the vertical. When it's so compressed like that, something that's got big front guns, I feel like, is better able to get on target at you. And then like once you get by them, like there is no really turning around and coming back at them, compared to the more flat, the regular board, where you can kind of just loop and do circles forever.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I was initially building fleets with like a large bid, so I could take advantage of that. Like, victories are somewhat viable because it's such a narrow battlefield now. Can't really flank them. But I was like, let's go fast, let's go Mothma. And so that was ultimately what I landed on. But yeah, so I think that's going to be interesting for me, is how I can keep Mothma in the battle. I think I'm going to be more reliant on the Requisite for long-term damage, but it's such a large base, so I run the risk of taking too long to turn. But there's a lot of native yaw, so I think I should be fine if I just stack navs, which is probably what I'm going to do, and then rely on Tykes with that Taint of 4 to hand out whatever I need extraneously.
Well, the nice thing about the Requisite with Patriot's Fist, especially if you get locked into having to play a blockade run game, its front arc is so wide, you could just set it in the middle and go to speed 1 and just, your arc is the board at that point. And just come at me, bro, type of thing. So it's actually not even a bad thing.
But then I'm getting shot from the entire board.
Fair point, yes.
Yeah, so no, it's kind of a trade-off there. But, I think with I'm going to be having that Gladiator in the middle, and, because I can kind of take it slow and then bounce up and just blow something up, and then you kind of keeping the other 2 ships on the outside to kind of like prong. At least that's how I'm envisioning it. Probably not going to work out that well, but yeah, I think that's probably going to be my best bet if blockade run is that, kind of take advantage of the more narrow battlefield and line that up that way.
Well, I'd have to say, if I'm ever picked as first player and I have to pick one from those missions, I wouldn't want to be advanced gunnery as first player. Opening salvo, though, wouldn't be terrible with, I don't really have MSU, but I do have 4 ships, 3 of them gladiators. A couple of red dice wouldn't be bad. But I think actually blockade run is where I would actually prefer that. because I could just set all my ships in a line, and I want them to try to rush me, get in close range with all the black dice. And because of Gladiator's arcs go to the corner, it would really set up easy double arcs as people running at me. So I think that's what I'd pick if I was first player. As second player, of course, I'd love people picking advanced gunnery. I'd just put it on my Venator, and that'd be a thank you very much. And same thing with opening salvo. And if someone picks blockade run with me as second player, all my ships are speed 3. And because I have Thrawn, I can do nav dials and con fire. It's comboed going at people. I feel like as second player, there's not a bad mission that someone can give me, but as first player, I think blockade run would be the least bad for me, because I think advanced gunnery would just be... I don't think advanced gunnery as first player is ever a good choice. Maybe, I feel free to disagree. I think that's always just you're setting yourself up for failure. But opening salvo, since I don't have really any red dice focused ships, I don't think that would be good for me to do. I feel like you, Derek, with all your hammerheads, opening salvo, whether you're first or second player, would be your ideal choice, almost.
Yeah.
Because none of those are bad options for red dice or any dice you want options.
If I'm already running with no dice correction, how bad could throwing 2 red dice be?
Right,
as I roll all blanks.
Yes, exactly.
And they roll all accuracies and doubles.
Yep. Well,
all right.
I definitely will mention that for your list. I mean, again, with advanced gunnery, typically, yeah, it's not a great option for first player. But again, if you're running up against, really squadron heavy and they've got ships, like usually you can shoot out your front flak and the shootout. Usually they're putting like a ship in there to try to jam you up anyway. I feel like you can still get some benefit.
That is
from
it.
it.
That is fair. And Venators don't have decent flak as well, so it might be worthwhile.
What does the Ven 1 get?
I believe it's a blue.
Oh, double blue.
Or double blue. For the
Yeah,
Ven,
double
right.
blue. So yeah, that's still
actually
really good.
Yep.
Yeah, especially with LTT, it lets you really focus on like Americ steals.
Oh, I totally forgot why you wouldn't want advanced gunnery on your Venator. You have salvo.
Yeah, and same thing with opening salvo. It makes it tough. Well, you just have to wait till after the first exchange happens. That's one of the things that with salvo ships, opening salvo sucks if you don't remember that. Oh wait, if I am getting hit and I salvo back, that counts as my first attack, so I have to get rid of my opening salvo attack token. But I'd almost be tempted if I picked advanced gunnery, if someone picked it on me, to put it on a gladiator, one of my 3 random ones, and have that run around and be the flanking one. So if it does die, it's double points, but it's not as bad as the Venator going down double points.
Mm-hmm.
But it means that, if they're not paying attention to it, I could have this double arcing out the side, 4 black die ship coming into your flanks, hitting you twice. Which I think, like for you, Paul, like you said, I think I'd put advanced gunnery on an MC30, as opposed to your, well, obviously not Patriot's Fist because you can only shoot once, but an MC30 would be fantastic with advanced gunnery, especially with Mon Mothma and Iden Versio, because not only is it going to be hard to kill, but you're going to shoot twice out that side into a ship, and that could also be devastating. But I find it interesting that Alan gave us all red missions for, so it's just all pure carnage missions, basically, that we have to pick from for all of these matches.
I personally think Blockade runs secretly blue. It's a blue in disguise. But yeah, I think Hyperspace Assault would have been a lot of fun too, as a choice. A lot of nasty things you could have done. Because like I was considering this TF list actually, where it was like a profundity, and I would pop out a Hammerhead with Girls Honor, B2 Rocket Troopers, because it was a TF list, and then Captain Rex on this thing, and it just like, boom, instant 2 raid. You can only remove one of them until you delete this little annoying sucker here, and meanwhile, the 2 other ships in the fleet are popping you with black dice. But it was like, oh, but it's MC-75. I don't want to fly one of those.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Hyperspace Assault would have been perfect for this little sucker. Just being able to pop, here you go.
That actually might, that might actually not, who knows, that might be something that Alan puts up next time. Because I like the option of they're all bad options for whoever picks them, as far as like carnage wise. So if you swap out Blockade Run with Hyperspace Assault, then it's like, well, then what do you pick? Someone shows up with an ISD-2, it's like, well, I'm not picking Advanced Gunnery. But then they have a couple other smaller ships. Well, do I really want to pick Opening Salvo? Do I want to do Hyperspace Assault? Well, no, there's a really nasty medium ship or whatever kind that can just alpha strikes a ship to death. But anyway, that might be for another one, because Alan did state that he wants to do this. This is the test run of doing this Celebrity Deathmatch tournament, and he's wanting to do more of these if it's popular moving forward. And
I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I mean, I felt the rules, like the values he had, were incredibly balanced. Like I was like, how do I abuse this squadron thing? And I couldn't. Like, the best I came up with was Sloan Arcs, and like those were so pricey that I was like, I can only really fit 4 in, and then kind of like another 4 of other things, and like still
I like the idea
feel busted.
Yeah, I like the idea of the tax, because it makes things where you can't just go completely nuts, and that there's a limit on your tax that you can spend. So there's some limit to it.
I was mad I couldn't put Rex in my fleet. Oh, I tried so hard. Just couldn't find a way to do it.
And I liked that that he put a limit that the uniques can't cross. It has to be non-uniques that can cross faction lines. Although, who knows, maybe some point in the future we might get non-uniques, or uniques that can cross faction lines. But I felt like with the breaking of the rules, it makes things fun. But yeah, the limits he put in place, I think, were well balanced, that he put in place. So
you can get ridiculous, but not too ridiculous.
Not too, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, okay, so if you could get, like, Darth Vader and Anakin, or Delta Anakin, like, they're technically, they're not the same.
They're not the same.
They're not
technically.
Yeah.
So I mean, that would have been like, way too much. So I'm glad he did limit that to no uniques from other factions. I thought that was like the most fair cutoff. Like, okay, I can bring in, put all these fun things on my Patriot Fist, but I can't make this incredibly oppressive squad ball, whereas essentially who's first player wins, so.
Now, just a little inside baseball I'm curious about. This might be before your time, Derek, but some of these insane combinations, has this ever been discussed behind the scenes on, yeah, this is broken, this is why we need to put this specific wording here so this can't happen? Like an Iden in a Mon Mothma fleet, that's why something like that never can go to the Rebels, because that'll just be dumb. Do these conversations happen behind the scenes to try to make sure they don't get too broken?
I can say with absolute confidence that we do not have time to discuss what ifs.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why they put like the bombard and the clone, like all those keywords on the new stuff, so they can narrow their scope of testing. Be like, okay, is this too oppressive as a faction upgrade? We can just maybe narrow it to, one of these keywords.
Sub-faction within a faction keywords. Yeah.
I was like, that was such a good sign of like, oh wow, we can get this really in-depth thing. And then of course the transition happened. So hopefully, Atomic Mass Games can,
I'll be honest, I still to this day have no clue what is up with those keywords.
Like, what do they even mean?
No idea. Yeah. I'm sure there's a document somewhere that says like, this is the intent of what these are. I have no idea.
Pictures of a whiteboard,
The guy drawing on it with the string. I mean, yeah, I have guesses. Like, I have really good guesses, but I don't have anything that's like anything I really can talk about, or otherwise just like I can't like speculate. I've been told I can't speculate, so it's like I have ideas of what they could be, but past that, I can't say anything past that, regardless if it's true or not. So, but yeah, I'm hopeful that one day we'll know what that all means. But yeah, I even just recently on the rules forum, I had somebody ask a what if question, like, well, what would happen if somebody was to take Harrison Dula with TIE Advanced? I'm like, I can't answer that question because it literally can't happen in the game in the standard format. So
we haven't even thought about that. We don't. I don't want to think about it. No.
Pretty much the official answer to stuff like that is like, we appreciate your enthusiasm, but unfortunately this doesn't fit within the scope of our rules forum, and your topic will be deleted. It's, as harsh as that sounds, it's like, yeah, we can't have stuff like that, unfortunately. Potentially confusing players, right? So
yeah, exactly. Well, so I think so that we don't go too long here, I do want to make sure that everybody knows where to catch these live streams when they happen once we know our actual battle dates. For those that watch my channel, just I'll try to put a preview or a video up with a preview date coming forward. You can catch my live stream on my channel, of course. And hopefully it'll be this week. We're supposed to have these done by this Saturday, December 3rd, for round 1. So for those that are going to be watching my battle against Juliet Whiskey, it'll be on my channel. Derek, so where can people go to watch your fight, and how they might be able to get a notification that it might be coming live?
So I'll be live streaming my games on my YouTube channel, which is Serenity Wargaming Explanations. I'll be throwing those links up on the Discords. I might post it up on the Facebook, the Star Wars Armada Facebook. But otherwise, I'll try to be announcing when my game's going to be. And Paul, I'm calling you out. So yeah, we're gonna have ourselves a good old showdown. I'm not sure if you've seen Ballard and Buster Scruggs at all on Netflix, but yeah, I'm like that guy that's all shaking, like I'm calling you out. It's hilarious little short stories. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend. Not to get off on Armada, but yeah, you'll be able to see me throwing my stuff around publicly.
And for you, Paul, where can people go to watch your game with Geek 19 for your first match?
Yeah, so actually that's tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll be streaming it on Twitch, and that's just Dr. Pwnage Gaming on Twitch, and then my YouTube channel, same thing, is where I typically upload like kind of more polished after action type thing. So those are the two places you can find me, but most of my live streams are on Twitch TV. So if you have a Twitch, drop a sub there. I guess follow. I don't have subscriptions enabled yet. I'm trying to build it up on Twitch because I feel like there's a lot of gamers there, and we can maybe bring more people into Armada.
And expanding not only the number of channels on YouTube that do Armada, but the different mediums that do Armada, like you said, with Twitch. So for folks that are watching here, please go, obviously check out Star Wars Armada Explained. Check out Dr. Pwnage Gaming on YouTube and on Twitch. And also go support Chivalry. He's just getting his start on YouTube. And check out his live stream that he'll be doing with his match against Fox. And support everybody, because you can't, as far as I'm concerned, you can't have too much Armada content. The more it spreads, the better it is for everybody. The whole cliche, if you will pardon me saying it, a rising tide raises all boats. It's good for everyone. So go support all these channels, like, subscribe, and watch these live streams. And of course, cheer for Team Tubers. Team Casters, boo. Team Tubers, yay. And we're going to kick their butts. At least I hope we're going to kick their butts.
You started with so much confidence and then ended with self-doubt and questioning. That's exactly that's the exact kind of mentality I'm looking for, young man.
That's right. Woo! That's why
You're managing expectations.
That's why I'm not a head coach of a football team. So, all right. Well, thank you, Derek. Thank you, Paul, for joining me, and thank you for letting me host. And we'll keep you guys updated. And keep in mind, this is going to be going on for 3 weeks. So we have not only this week, but 2 more weeks after this for our additional games, and we'll keep you updated on updates on how we do. So, again, thank you, Derek, thank you, Paul, and thank you guys for watching, and until next time, take it easy.
Bye.
All right, well, thank you.